Hi, I would like to go through and explain today's classwork if I can figure out how to use this. Okay, so now that you know how to multiply algebraic expressions, you can solve equations that involve multiplication. You will also solve equations that have an absolute value in them. So we're going to review what we've learned, and I didn't let you guys decide because I'm doing this, and so I'm going to do 2 using the generic rectangle and 1 using distributive property. Please pause this video right now, and I want you to try 76 A, B, and C on your own without looking at mine. Okay, hopefully you've paused and you've looked at them, and so we have, or you've tried them. So we have 6x minus 11, and 2x and 5. So remember, we're going to multiply. So 6x times 2x is 12x squared. 2x times negative 11 is a negative 22. Negative 11 times 5 is negative 55. 6x times 5 is 30x. So these two have the same, like they're like terms. And so when you write it out, you'll do 12x squared plus 30x minus 22x is a positive 8x minus 55. And then for B, to do the distributive property, you're going to take this negative 2x squared to everything on the inside. So negative 2 times 15 is negative 30. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. And then for this next one, you have negative 2 times a negative 3, so that's a positive 6. Then you have an x squared and a t, so put the t first because it comes first alphabetically, x squared. C, setting it up, 6 and then a minus y, and then a y plus 2. And remember, it doesn't really matter like what order you do this in, as long as your 6 and negative y are together and your y and positive 2 are together. So again, you're going to multiply 6 times y is 6y. Negative y times y is a negative y squared. Negative y times 2 is a negative 2y. 6 times 2 is 12. So then these are like terms. So 6y minus 2y is 4y. Okay, so man, I do not know how to do this. Okay, well, sorry, I'm sure I'm making you sick. So now we are going to solve equations using distributive property or generic rectangles. I always use the distributive property if there's just one number out here. So 2 times y is 2y, 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, equals negative 6. You want to get the y by itself, so you add 4 to both sides. You get 2y equals negative 2. 2 times y, so the opposite of that is to divide. You get y equals negative 1. Now, I don't know how to get it to the bottom. This should not be this complicated, should it? Okay. Anyway, so I guess you'll just have to look closely. I will also keep my pictures in my folder, and the sub will also have my notes if it makes it easier to put it up on the dot cam while I'm explaining it. So this time I also use the distributive property. So x times x is x squared. 3 times x, there's the 3x. X times 4 is 4x, and then 3 times 4 is 12. And then on this side, x times x is x squared, 1 times x is x, 2 times x is 2x, and then 1 times 2 is 2. And then you're going to notice that you can simplify this 3x and 4x to make it 7x. Same thing here, x plus 2x is 3x. Then when you start getting common things on the same side, x squared and x squared, so when you subtract x squared from both sides, they cancel. And so then it becomes an equation that you've been solving all year. 7x plus 12 equals 3x plus 2. So you'd subtract 3x from both sides. When you do that, you get 4x plus 12 equals 2. And then you would subtract 12 from both sides. You get 4x equals negative 10. Divide both sides by 4, and then you can simplify it as a fraction. And that is the first page. And let's move on to the second page as it loads. Okay, so then now we're going to think about absolute values. Man, I've got to figure out how to do this. So remember, absolute value, what that means is that it's the distance away from 0. So the absolute value of x, so that could either be a 5 or a negative 5. When you look at, oh no, okay. When you look over here, just move me down here. The absolute value of x equals 133, so that could be 133 or a negative 133. Either one of those would get you the answer to 133. You cannot have an absolute value that's going to equal a negative number, and so that one will have no solution. And then over here, what you can do, oh, geez, this is crazy. I'm sorry. Over here, what you can do is think about what's on the inside here. Once after you do what's on the inside, when you take the absolute value of it, it needs to be a positive 10. So if you take away the absolute value symbols, and then you would just solve the equation, x minus 7 equals 10, you would get x equals 17. However, if you look only what's on the inside here, that could also equal to negative 10, because if you did x minus 7 and got negative 10, then when you took the absolute value of it, it would give you positive 10. Let me show you what I mean. So if we have x minus 7 equals negative 10, add 7 to both sides, and so then we have x equals negative 3. Watch what happens if I plug in negative 3 here. I get negative 3 minus 7, which equals negative 10, and then when you take the absolute value of negative 10, it becomes 10. So now we're going to try a couple other ones that are a little more complicated. Go ahead and pause this video, and I want you to try 79 on your own, and then the sub can hit play to explain the rest of 7, or so then I can explain 79 to you, and then we'll do the same thing for 80. Okay, so hopefully you've paused and you've tried 79. So you're going to solve two equations. You're going to solve 3x minus 5 equals 16, and then you're also going to solve 3x minus 5 equals negative 16. Because, again, this is the one that most people forget. Once you solve the 3x minus 5, if that were to equal negative 16, then when you take the absolute value, it would make it a positive 16. So you're going to solve the equation, get x by itself, so it's a negative 5, so you add 5 to both sides. 3 times x, so the opposite of times is divide, and you get 7. Same thing over here. If this is a negative 5, you can add 5 to both sides. When you do that, you get negative 16 plus 5. That's going to give you a negative 11. And then the opposite of times is divide. So divide both sides by 3, and you'll get negative 11 over 3. So if I put in negative 11 over 3 right here, then I would have, this would say, this would be a negative 11, because the 3 here and the 3 at the bottom of the fraction would cancel. So a negative 11 minus 5 equals negative 16, and then take the absolute value, and we get positive 16. So then looking at number 80, again, feel free to pause and try this on your own. The two equations that you're going to solve are 7 minus 8x equals 1 and 7 minus 8x equals negative 1. So you can see how I solved it. And if you have any questions, either help each other or send me an It's Learning message. Thanks for listening.